Hey everybody, Chris here again. Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be working with wireless networking in Windows 2000. And to help us accomplish this, once again, I've got a trusty Compaq LTE that we're going to be installing Windows 2000 on. Now, this machine is actually not the ideal machine to be installing Windows 2000 on, being a Pentium class machine, but that's what I've got, so that's what we're going to use. So, speaking of idealness, usually what you would do when installing Windows 2000 is to put a CD, a bootable CD, into the CD-ROM drive, and from there, boot up and install Windows 2000. However, the Compaq LTE, I believe, does not boot from the CD-ROM drive. I haven't tried it, but I don't think it will boot from the CD-ROM drive. So what we're going to do is actually copy files from a Windows 2000 CD across the network onto the hard drive of this machine. And the way that I'm going to do that is by using a wireless card. So we have our trusty Cisco Aironet 350 wireless card right here that we'll be using. And we're actually going to be using the MS-DOS LAN manager to access those files to copy over. And I have another video that you can see that talks about that process. But the first thing that we need to do is actually take the files and put them on a network share, making it available for us to copy. So let's go through that process. Okay, so to make the installer files available on the retro computer, first we're going to find a Windows 2000 ISO, preferably with Service Pack 4 installed. I'd almost say that should be a requirement. It should have Service Pack 4. And we're going to open it, and on this PC, when I double click on an ISO, it launches WinImage. What we're going to do is take the i386 directory and drag that over to the Raspberry Pi to make it accessible to the retro computer. So we're going to take this just like this, drag it over here, and it will proceed to copy, which will take a while, but once complete, this will be available to be downloaded on the retro computer via the wireless network. So now that you see that we have those files on the Raspberry Pi ready to copy, let's go ahead and grab those files and put them on this machine. So what I'm going to do here with the wireless card inserted is I'll go ahead and put the boot disk in, and we will boot up and load the LAN manager. And what I have set up here is a 2 GB partition using FAT16. And I've set this up as FAT16 so that we can go ahead and copy the files in an MS-DOS environment. What we will do at some point is actually convert this FAT16 partition to be NTFS, and we can do that as a part of the Windows 2000 installation process. So now that we're booted up here, we can go ahead and map a share to the Raspberry Pi so that we can grab that i386 directory that we're going to need to install. So I'm just going to go ahead and map to my Raspberry Pi data directory, and we'll map drive Z. All right, and now if we can go to drive Z, and we'll change into the retro folder and then into that i386 folder, and there it is. So now what we can do is make a directory on drive C called i386, and we should have the xcopy program on the A drive. We could do an xcopy /s/e, C drive retro i386 to C drive i386. And this is going to take a very long time, so we'll get this kicked off, and then we'll check back in. Much later, all 5,345 files have copied to drive C. What I'm going to do for good measure here is actually make drive C bootable by doing a sysc:, and that'll copy the MS-DOS system. Oh, well that's interesting. Maybe we're not going to do that. Let's have a look at drive C. Well, I find that odd, so maybe we aren't going to make it bootable from DOS, but that's okay. So let's just go ahead and start the installation of Windows 2000. To do that, we're going to go to drive C like I've done here, and then change into the i386 directory and type winnt. And now the first question is going to be, where's the Windows 2000 setup files, and it's located in this directory here. So we're going to press enter. And we're going to get this prompt about smart drive not being available. That's fine. This machine actually has a compact flash card, which is going to be plenty fast. So we'll just continue. Enter. And from here, it's going to do a file verification and doing some copying. So at this point, setup's going to proceed to copy files to the hard disk. And we're probably not going to watch this whole process, but once it completes, we'll proceed with the next part of setup. Okay, so we made it to 100%. Our files have copied, and the MS-DOS based portion of setup is now complete. So let's go ahead and restart. Oh, it would probably be a good idea to take the floppy disk out of the drive. Take that and set that aside. 80 megabytes of memory. It's going to be a little anemic for Windows 2000, but it'll get the job done. All right. So we're going to jump into Windows 2000. And now you see what looks like the standard setup process, where it loads different files, including the executive and a whole bunch of drivers. Look how nice and fast it loads from that solid state card, or the compact flash card rather. Okay, Windows 2000 is now, quote unquote, starting. All right, so now we can proceed with setup. So first thing we're going to do is press enter. Of course we agree to the license agreement, F8. And you can ignore the fact that I have multiple partitions, but really where we're going to install is onto this 2 gigabyte partition that you see here. And we are going to convert it to NTFS. Enter. So to convert the drive, we press C. And at this point, it's going to check the drive out. Doing its checkout. Hopefully it finds nothing but good news. There shouldn't be anything but good news to find. And then we'll start to see some additional activity here. Oh, we have to reboot now that the maintenance check is complete. So let's reboot. Okay, so after that reboot, we're back to the beginning again. This kind of feels like deja vu, doesn't it? Okay. Press enter there. I already agreed to the license. Well, it couldn't hurt to do it twice. All right, still won't install on drive C. Nothing's changed. And we'll say convert to NTFS. Press C to convert. And I think this time it'll be happy. I'm not sure why it does that twice, but this is not the first time that I've done this installation, and it seemingly always does this twice. Okay, now we can see that we're moving on and creating a list of files to be copied, so we're moving forward. So I guess in that first check, it must have just detected something that it didn't like, but that's okay. So we'll give this just a minute here. It's going to proceed to do some file copying once it gets started. And we will, again, see you very soon. So we can see here that we're almost to 100%. And once we hit that magic mark, I think we're going to be in for another reboot. All right, so now it's time to restart. We will short circuit this and press the enter key. And next step, we should be booting into the graphical installation. Here we can see the starting Windows banner. And there's that beautiful Windows startup screen. Now the next thing that's going to happen is going to be a disk check, after which point we're going to have a conversion from FAT to NTFS. Okay, plenty of free space to perform the conversion. The conversion is now started, and that's going to take a while, so we will check back with you shortly. Okay, so the conversion has completed, and the machine is now restarting. So let's now see where we head next. I have a feeling we will now see the true graphical portion of the installer. There's our lovely starting Windows bar again. The initial splash screen. I love how there's components in this operating system all the way back from 1985. It's phenomenal. Okay, so now it's going to do a drive check on our new NTFS drive. And now we're moving forward to the rest of the installation. Look at that lovely 640 by 480 resolution. Okay, so now we can proceed to do the Windows 2000 setup wizard. We'll go ahead and proceed with next. Once again, this is a Pentium 133 system, so not the fastest. From here, we're going to proceed to have all the devices detected, and this will also take several minutes, so we will check back with you soon. Okay, so the hardware check is completed. It's now time to set up some regional settings. Let's click Next. And now it's time to put in our name, organization, and our setup key. Okay, so I entered the setup key. We're going to give this machine a name, and I'm going to use a super secure admin password. Click Next. All right, we can change our time zone. Unfortunately, I don't think it's the year 1601, but I think that maybe our CMOS may be a little bit corrupt. We can change our time to Eastern Time. Next. And from here, Windows will proceed to install some network components. Okay, so next up, we're going to copy some files, and this is going to take a while, so we'll see you soon. Okay, so file copying is complete. We're now going to proceed through installing start menu items, registering components, saving settings, and removing any temporary files. Now that the settings have been saved, temporary files deleted, etc., the only thing left to do is to finish the installation. So we'll click Finish, and the machine will reboot. All right, so we're going to proceed through the network identification wizard. Nothing will be detected because no network card drivers are installed. We'll click Finish to finish. So the first thing we're going to do here is definitely change the screen resolution. Let me go ahead and close this welcome screen. And now I'm going to right click and go to Properties. And we can change the resolution to match the panel, which will be 1024 by 768. And we'll apply that. Let's get rid of this balloon here. I like balloons, just not when they're in the way. Click OK here to apply. And we can click Yes. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is actually get network card drivers. So let me show you how we're going to go about doing that. Okay, so to locate Cisco Aironet 350 drivers for Windows 2000, we can do a Google search. I think the second link will take us there. And from there, we can proceed to Downloads and click on driver version 1.8. And then from there, we should be able to click the download link. We probably are going to have to sign in though. And since I have already signed in, I haven't been prompted. If you don't have a Cisco account, you can create one and you should be good to go. As soon as I click Accept License Agreement, the download should start. And we can then copy the file over to the retro computer using my Raspberry Pi as an example. So through the magic of YouTube, the network card drivers have been copied over to this machine. What do you know? There's the file. At this point, we're going to go ahead and install our network card drivers. So we'll double click there and click the unzip button, which will result in the drivers unzipping, and then the installation program will start up. All right, so the files have unzipped successfully. Click OK. And the installer should launch automatically. We're going to do an express installation, so we'll click Next. And from here, files will be copied. So during the installation program, you may get a warning or two about unsigned drivers. Just click Yes. Yes. All right. So the installation will now complete and applications will be installed when a wireless LAN adapter is inserted, and it's already there. So we just need to remove it and reinsert it. So let's go ahead and do that. And it should go through the auto detect process. There we go. Driver, our card has been detected. And installed. And once again, just click Yes. You can hear the card initialize. And now the application will install. Application install has completed, and now we're installing some EAP and fast drivers, which are actually going to cause some problems for us, and we'll talk about how to solve that here in a minute. At this point, it is now time to restart the computer. Whatever you do, do not restart the computer because it will not restart based upon how Cisco has installed this. Thank you, Cisco. We need to make a fix. And to make that fix, we're going to launch the Start menu and run the command prompt. We're going to go to Windows, or actually it's WinNT, System32. We're going to look for files named gina.dll. And we didn't find any. Actually, there we go. So there's a CSW Gina and an MS Gina. And MS Gina is the original file, and CSW Gina is the one installed by Cisco. We're going to move cswgina.dll to be cswgina.old, and then we are going to copy msgina.dll to be cswgina.dll. If you do not do this, Windows 2000 will not restart properly. Okay, done. All right, so now we can go ahead and click Yes, but it is critical that you do this first. Otherwise, you will be very, very sad. Here we are again with a successful reboot. That's good. Now that our drivers are all installed and we're rebooted, let's go ahead and configure our settings. So I'm going to go in here to the Aironet client utility, which is conveniently located right here on the desktop. We'll come in here and we'll see that our card is currently not associated. Let's go ahead and add a profile via the Profile Manager. I'm just going to call it Lenderman. Click the OK button. The SSID should be Len2. Over to the Network Security tab, I'm going to be using Static Web. I'll go ahead and put in my web key and click OK. My web key has been entered, so at this point we can click the OK button. and then OK to close out this profile management. And now we can see that our 350 is associated to no name specified. Why does it come up no name specified? No idea, but it works. To prove that it works, let's go ahead and launch the command prompt and try and ping a website. And there we can see that we're getting results. Excellent. Now if we're really daring, we can try and browse the web even. Prior to that, we probably need to run the Internet Connection Wizard, though I think it'll force it for us. Since we're connected via a local area connection, we can just click this right here and then click Next. And say that we connect through a LAN. Next. And no further configuration will be required since we're not using a proxy server, so Next. And we're not going to set up email. Next. And finish. That should launch our web browser. And from there, I don't think we're going to be able to visit Microsoft.com, but maybe Lenderman.com, even though this isn't going to be a perfect render either. At least we can see that we're able to browse the web. And lo and behold, we have a web page that's actually HTML5, not being quite rendered right by this version of Internet Explorer, but you can at least see something. So there you have it, Windows 2000 with wireless networking. I strongly suggest if you're going to conduct this experiment, do it on something much faster than a Compaq LTE 5380. Nonetheless, we got there. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up. If not, a thumbs down is fine as well. Click the subscribe button if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell to be notified of future videos. As always, it's been fun, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.